My dream wedding had become a total nightmare. I was stranded, helpless, and everything felt completely ruined. The day I'd planned for years, the one I'd pictured since I was a little girl, was just dissolving into a blur of icy wind and crushing disappointment. It was supposed to be the happiest day of my life, a celebration of love. Instead, it was turning into one of the loneliest moments I had ever been through. I could feel my hope freezing over, bit by painful bit, until my service dog did something that changed everything. I'd made sure every single detail was perfect. The venue was a gorgeous restored barn out in the countryside, with these sweeping views of rolling hills. My dress, a cascade of ivory lace, felt like a fairy tale. For 18 long months, every spare moment I had was poured into planning this day. It wasn't just about the flowers or the music, it was about creating a memory that would shine for the rest of our lives. For me, living my life from a wheelchair, this day was supposed to be a symbol of triumph. It was proof that my chair didn't define me, that my heart was just as hopeful as anyone's. My service dog, a stoic German shepherd named Echo, was by my side through all of it. He was my constant, my shadow, my furry guardian. He sat patiently through all my dress fittings, his head resting on my lap, and was a quiet comfort during the late-night stress of finalizing guest lists. We even got him a special collar with a tiny, dignified bow tie. He was so much more than a service animal. He was family. He was supposed to be right there, by my side. As I started this new chapter, the ceremony was beautiful, a blur of smiling faces and happy tears. But then came the transition to the reception. There was a mix-up, a complete and utter disaster in communication. The accessible transport that was supposed to take me the 3 miles from the church to the reception never showed up. The guests, having no idea there was a problem, had all gone ahead. My fiancé, caught up in directing the caterers and the band, was already at the barn, expecting me to pull up any second. And just like that, I was left behind, stranded. The first trickle of confusion quickly became a flood of panic, and then a cold, hard despair. The beautiful country road turned into a lonely stretch of total isolation. My phone was dead. The sun started to dip below the horizon, painting the sky in these brilliant colors that felt like a cruel joke against the darkness that was closing in on my heart. The temperature dropped, and a bitter wind whipped around me, cutting right through the delicate lace of my dress. The first 10 minutes were a frantic haze. I just kept trying to solve the problem. I wheeled myself a little way down the road, desperately hoping to see headlights, praying for a sign that anyone realized I was missing. But the road stayed empty. The silence was only broken by the rustling of leaves and the lonely cry of the wind. With every minute that passed, the beautiful, hopeful bride I'd been just an hour ago started to disappear. In her place was a woman shivering in a uselessly beautiful dress, feeling utterly and completely alone. My arms ached from pushing my chair on the uneven gravel of the roadside. Finally, I just stopped, defeated. The physical exhaustion was nothing compared to the emotional weight that was crushing me. This wasn't just about a ruined party. It felt so much deeper than that, like a painful echo of every time I'd ever felt left behind or overlooked because of my chair. It dredged up all those old feelings of being a burden, of being a complicated problem instead of a person. Tears, hot at first, turned icy on my cheeks. This was supposed to be the day that proved none of that mattered. It was supposed to be about love conquering all obstacles. Instead, I was the obstacle. I looked down at my legs, hidden under the white gown, and a deep wave of helplessness washed over me. It was a familiar, horrible feeling, but it was sharper today, crueler. This was my wedding day. A day that was now just a ruined story I would have to tell with shame for the rest of my life. I dropped my head into my hands, and the delicate bouquet I was still clutching fell to the ground, its perfect white roses scattering in the dirt. It was over. The dream was gone. In that moment of absolute despair, as a sob caught in my throat, I felt it, a gentle, wet nudge against my cold, trembling hand. I flinched, my mind still lost in its downward spiral. Then I felt it again, more insistent this time, followed by a low, soft whine. I lifted my head. Echo was standing right beside my chair, his dark, intelligent eyes locked on my face. He'd been sitting patiently, just as he was trained to do. But he had broken his stay. He had sensed the shift in me the exact moment. My logistical trouble had curdled into a real emotional crisis. He nudged my hand again, and then, carefully, he licked the tears from my fingers. He didn't bark, he didn't fidget, he just stood there, a solid, warm presence in the encroaching cold. Then he did something he was trained to do for panic attacks, a task he'd performed before, but it had never felt so profound. He rested his large, heavy head on my lap, right over my legs, and looked up at me. His eyes weren't just watching. It felt like they were seeing right into me. They held no pity, no confusion, only a deep, unwavering empathy. His warm breath ghosted against my skin, a small pocket of life in the cold air. I instinctively reached out, my fingers sinking into the thick fur of his neck. He leaned into my touch, a silent transfer of strength and comfort. He wasn't a rescuer coming to fix this situation. He couldn't call a taxi or fix a car. He was doing something far more important. He was anchoring me. He was reminding me that I was not alone. In the midst of the most profound loneliness I had ever felt, a creature who couldn't speak a single word was communicating the most important message I could ever hear. I am here. I will not leave you. Stroking Echo's soft fur and looking into his devoted eyes, I felt a slow, miraculous shift happen inside me. The knot of despair in my chest started to loosen. The ruined dress, the missed cocktail hour, the logistical nightmare, it all started to feel small, insignificant. And in that moment, none of it mattered anymore. Echo's simple, profound act of comfort had completely changed my perspective. He hadn't saved my wedding. He had saved me from the despair of that moment. He reminded me what this day was really supposed to be about. It wasn't about a perfect schedule or a flawless party. It was about loyalty. It was about unwavering companionship. It was about the kind of love that shows up, no questions asked, when you are at your lowest point. And all of that was right here, resting its head on my lap. A slow, tearful smile spread across my face. I leaned forward and buried my face in his fur, whispering, "Thank you, buddy, thank you." Eventually, headlights did appear. My fiancé, frantic after finally realizing the mix-up, had come racing back from me. He found me not in hysterics, but sitting quietly on the side of the road, smiling, with my hand resting on my ever-faithful best man. The rest of the evening wasn't what we'd planned. We were late. My dress was dirty at the hem. My hair was a mess, but it was perfect. It was more than perfect. When we finally entered the reception, we were met with a roar of cheers and relief. As I told everyone what happened, I didn't tell it like a catastrophe. I told it as a love story, a story about my dog, my hero, who showed me the true meaning of a wedding vow before I had even said my own. The rest of the night, Echo stayed by my side, his special bow tie a little crooked. Every time I looked at him, I wasn't reminded of what went wrong. I was reminded of what was so incredibly right. He didn't just save the day. He transformed it into a memory more beautiful and meaningful than anything I could have ever planned. Love isn't always found in grand gestures and fairy tale moments. Sometimes, it's in the quiet, steadfast presence of a friend who refuses to let you face the darkness alone. My wedding day wasn't ruined. It was redeemed. It was made whole by the unconditional love of a German shepherd who saw his human in pain and did the only thing he knew how to do. He showed up. He taught me that the most precious things in life aren't about perfection. They're about presence. He was, and always will be, the hero of my wedding day. What moments of unconditional love have changed your perspective? Share your own stories of the incredible animals in your lives in the comments below. And if this story touched your heart, please subscribe for more content celebrating the powerful bond between humans and animals.